Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? Welcome to Coffee and Clarity. This morning, we're going to have a good time, relax, so just take your time. No rush. No rush. Let's give people a few minutes to get on. Hey, room raid. That's right. And I added my Facebook family in there today, so we'll see if some of those pop in. And make sure everybody's got their coffee, because I got mine. Let me adjust my chair a little bit. There we go. It's a little bit better. Let me know that you can hear me okay, too, as well. Make sure everybody can hear me. And you know where Stephanie is this morning? I think she commented on a post. I don't think I saw her in your live, unless I wasn't in there when she was in there. Yes, ma'am. Good morning. You can hear me just fine. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me just fine. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Just want to make sure before we get started. Make sure before we get started that you all can hear me. Okay.
Just want to make sure.
Yep, I checked it on Facebook so you all can hear me. So again, welcome in everyone. This is Coffee and Clarity. This is our second week for this part of my programming. So I hope that you all enjoy it and you get something out of it, And we will get started in just a bit on this morning's topic. I'm just going to give people a few moments to pop in. I know I got to get better with putting my announcements out earlier. My life gets in the way sometimes. It gets in the way sometimes. And y'all, just a couple more minutes to come in. Couple more minutes. Play a little Christmas music. Okay, I thought she was. Okay, all right. I wasn't sure. I didn't know because I might have missed the chat. I was actually heading home when you were on live. I went out and did a little DoorDashing. That's another thing that I do. Go out and DoorDash. I went out a little bit this morning, but all the order. I got one order. Took it out like a horse barn where these people got a lot of horses and stuff at. And turn that music on a little bit. And then I took that out, and then I came back up into town. That was like out in the rural areas. And then I came back up into town and I got another order and got to the McDonald's, and they didn't have one of the pies and the ice cream. The ice cream machine is never working at McDonald's, right? And so the ice cream machine wasn't working. And so I was like, okay, I tried to text the people and call them like 3, 4, 5 times. And they didn't respond. So I'm like, look, you know what? I'm declining this order because I'm not going to sit here and wait 10 minutes on $3 and change. And hey, Stephanie, how you doing, sis? And I was like, I'm not doing that. So by the time I hopped on your live, it was like after 10 when I got on there, I know. And by then I was like, then they gave me another order for the Dollar General. I didn't have my red card. So I was like, yeah, it's not meant for me to do that today. So I hopped off and I went. Nobody's comfort doing. You said you wanted to stay inside, so you're staying. Let me check, you guys. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna let Comfort out, so y'all just man the chat for me, and I will be right back briefly. Give me one more second, you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience. Thank y'all so much. Let me turn this music off. Lord have mercy. When you're trying to do something and everybody needs you, right? But I handle it. I just text her all that information, family business stuff. But I text her the information. But again, thank y'all so much for your patience. I appreciate it. This morning is Coffee and Clarity. Welcome to another Coffee and Clarity Live. I'm so glad that you all are here with me today to take this little moment out of your life. I appreciate it. So whether you're sipping your coffee, which I have mine, or tea, or just pausing, to take a breath, this is your safe space to reflect, excuse me, to reflect, release, and receive a little clarity today. So today we're going to be talking about choosing peace without explaining myself. That's a big one for me. Choosing peace without explaining myself. So you need to learn how to protect your hearts, honor your healing, and embrace the freedom that comes when we stop over explaining ourselves. So before we dive in, I want you to, of course, grab your cups of coffee if you haven't already. Get comfy and drop a little mug in the chat so I know that you're here with me. Drop a little mug in the chat. So today we're going to do something a little bit different to start off with. A little bit different. So I'm going to share something with y'all. We're going to do kind of a fill in the blank, but kind of not a fill in the blank. But there's some questions to get you thinking and stuff like that. So let me share my screen with that. And let me make sure I'm sharing. Okay. There we go. All right. It's just a Word document, but I just wanted to share that. And I'm not going to customize it because, But here we go. So let me know that you all can see the questions good. So the first one is, okay, let me make sure that I'm down here in the bottom of the screen. Yep. Make sure y'all can see me. There I am. Hey. Make sure y'all can see me. So our first question is, I am no longer explaining myself to. And I'll put it in the chat also, or in the ticker. I'm no longer explaining myself to. And fill in that blank for me, you guys. Let me know what you think about this. I am no longer explaining myself to. I am no longer explaining myself to. I hope you can see that good. I'm no longer explaining myself to. So what is that? How can you all fill in that blank? Echo Stephanie. Because I'm no longer explaining myself to. And of course, my Facebook people. And y'all let me know as well in the comments, whether you're catching this live or in the replay. I'm no longer explaining myself to. I'm no longer explaining myself to. I'm trying to just check. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. FB. Just tag some folks. I'm no longer explaining myself to. I'm no longer chat if you can hear me. Explaining myself. Just tag some folks. I'm no longer explaining myself to. Explaining myself. I'm no longer explaining myself to. I'm no longer explaining myself to. Let me know. I'm just tagging a few folks. Let me know how you all feel about that question or that statement. Let me know. I'm just tagging a few folks. Let me know how you all feel about that question or that statement. All right. So for me, I'm no longer explaining myself to everybody else. Basically, in general, really, you got to be literal with it. I'm no longer explaining myself to people in general. That includes my mom, my dad, my adult children. And it's not to say that, you're being rude or anything like that, but your yes is your yes, your no is your no, your decision is your decision. The choices that you make are your choices. You have to own those. So stop explaining yourself. Stop explaining yourself. We have to stop explaining ourselves. And our next statement is peace for me looks like. What does peace for you all look like? And I will put that in there too as well. What does peace for you look like? What does peace for you look like? What does peace for you look like? Tell me what peace for you looks like. What does peace for you look like? Let me know in the comments. What does peace for you look like? I know for me, peace, it's not a one word thing. For me, peace, you have to honor you. You have to honor what you need to be peaceful. You can't let distractions, and distractions can be people, places, or things. You can't let anyone disturb your peace. Oh, okay, it's all right. No worries. You can't let people disturb. Thanks for the coffee cup. You can't let people disturb your peace. What does peace look like for you, Sister Echo? What does peace look like for you? Let me know what peace looks like for you. What does peace look like for you? Right, exactly. You don't explain yourself to anyone anymore either. Right, exactly. And there's no need to. Why do you? Other than God, man down here on earth, man or woman or whatever, we don't owe them anything. We don't owe them anything. We don't have to explain anything to them. They are not our Savior. They're not our Father. We don't owe them anything. Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning. We don't owe them anything. Right. You said peace. No, peace is no one telling me negative things about myself. Yes. Yes, exactly. No one telling you negative things about yourself. Because people can be hurtful for whatever reason that they have to tell you the negative things about yourself. Sometimes they don't have tact. They don't come across the right way. There's a way to give constructive criticism, right? But some people don't know how to do that or don't care to do that. A lot of people say, oh, they're, straight no chaser or, straight to the point. You got to have some kind of compassion when you're talking to people, right? You got to have this chair up some. You got to have some kind of compassion when you're talking to people and, let them know what's going on. I remember I had to answer that little message from a cousin of mine, but it's an important thing, so I'm gonna do that while I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, you have to tell when you're dealing. It's not to say that you're placating or sugarcoating anything like that, but you have to have some kind of compassion and kindness. The Lord has compassion and kindness for us, right? Yeah. So we have to do the same. We have to do the same. I'm coming, you guys. Trying to multitask, always multitasking. All right. Okay. Gotta send this information. But yeah, you have to have compassion. And that's how I had to let my cousin know, no offense, but I had to let her know, look, I'm in the middle of something right now, but I will send you the information, right? Because yeah, this information is important, but I'm still doing this is important as well. So, you have to multitask. And I'm gonna get that done in just a second. Okay. All right. I think that's everything that she needed. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, you said you never understood why people think they have a right to tell anyone about themselves. Right. Exactly. Exactly. For one, who asked you, and two, you're not my creator. You didn't put me on here on earth. God said he created me uniquely in his image, not your image, right? He didn't. So it's not up to what you see is pleasing to the eye, or you see, whether it's that's looks, behavior, or whatever. It's not what you see as pleasing. It's what the thus says the Lord. It's what He sees as pleasing. Yeah, we have to create those healthy boundaries. You have to, because if you don't, you'll be running around here, you know, running from what pedal to post or however they say it, but you'll be running around here like, oh Lord, they don't like this and they don't like that, and what am I gonna do? Throw that away, throw it in the trash, and let it go. Let it go, because you can't. And so this brings us to our next one: is I don't owe clarity to people who. So fill in that blank for me, you guys. I don't owe clarity to people who. I don't owe clarity to people who. I don't owe clarity to people who. And I'll share that one. I don't owe clarity to people who. So sit with that one for a minute. I don't owe clarity to people who. I don't owe clarity to people who see everything in black and white. And I don't mean as black and white race. I mean everything had to be this, this, this. I don't owe them anything. I don't have to get them to see my point of view. A lot of people have told me, I see things through rose colored glasses. Maybe I do, but that's me. That's how God allowed me to see things, right? Right. Yeah. People don't exactly, you don't owe clarity to people who don't respect you. That's a big one, Stephanie. That's a big one, because a lot of people don't respect your judgment, your insight, any your authority even. You don't owe them anything. You don't have to explain anything to them. You don't have to define your reasoning for things. No, you do not. You do not have to explain or give them any kind of clarity. You do not. You don't. And then this brings us to, unless Sister Echo has anything to say about that one. And y'all on Facebook, feel free to chime in or chime in on the replay. No worries. No worries. No worries. No worries. And so this one here is, my silence is protecting. And I'll give y'all a moment to answer that one before I do. What is your silence protecting? What is your silence protecting? Let me know in the comments. What is your silence protecting? What is your silence protecting? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. What is your silence protecting? Let me know what is. Let me know in the comments again. What is your silence protecting? Because my silence is protecting. And let me put that one in there. There we go. My silence is protecting. Let's see. To people who don't bring you any. Oh, that's the clarity one, right? So you said you don't owe any clarity to people who don't bring you peace. Right, right. You don't. You don't owe them anything. You do not owe them a thing. They're not, you don't owe anybody anything, to be honest. That sums it up. You don't owe anybody anything. You do not owe anybody anything. They don't. No, I'm not saying that, you got to disagree with everything from everyone, but if you need to stand firm on your beliefs. Stand firm on your beliefs and don't let anybody shake you from that. Don't let anybody sway you from it. You say your silence. My silence protects me from. My silence protects my well-being from people who mean me harm. Yes, exactly. My silence protects me from people who mean me harm. Right, exactly. And I know for me, sometimes I have to take a step back and just be quiet. You don't always have to be loud and boastful and, all the things. That's not you. That's not your character. Don't do it. And even if it is your normal character, switch it up a little bit. Surprise them. You'll be so much more peaceful. People tell me, oh, why you don't say nothing to this person, that, when they done did this, that, and that. You can't change. I can't change them. So why am I going to get my blood pressure all up and causing migraine, all that? Why am I going to get myself all riled up for them when I can just be quiet and peaceful, turn the other cheek, as the Lord says, and mind my business? It's not saying that you're letting them walk all over you. You're just choosing silence. You're choosing peace. And that's huge. That's actually more powerful because they can't figure out what's going on. Sister Stephanie says, my silence is protecting my reason for having to explain. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like, I'm not going to explain myself. I'm just going to be quiet. Right. Just be quiet. They'll figure it out. They will figure it out. Okay. I'm telling you, they will figure it out. Because no, you don't have to. They will figure it out. And when they do, then they'll see. Nobody got time to be trying to, explain everything to everybody anymore. Life is too short for all that. Life is too short for all of that. Life is too short. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I'm going to still continue with the questions. This looks better. This looks prettier. But yeah, life is too short for all that. It is too short. So this next one is, I release the need to be understood by. I release the need to be understood by. Let me put that in here for you all to see. I release the need to be understood by. And I'm going to send my daddy this message too. Okay, I'm coming, you guys. I apologize. All right. But yeah, let me see what you put in the chat. Let's see. My silence is protecting my reason for having to explain myself. And what you say, Sister Echo, most people can't stand the silent treatment, right? Sometimes saying nothing speaks loud. And it does. And it does. And I can say for me, I've experienced both sides of that silent treatment. I've experienced it, well, I know, understand it from both sides. I would say I've experienced it from narcissistic abuse, where, they shut down. They're not going to speak to you. They're going to, oh, I'm going to sleep on the couch, or I'm going to, I'm just not going to say. And they would literally walk around the house and not speak to you for days. That's abuse. But it does speak to how the silent treatment is powerful, right? It's very powerful. Saying nothing. You said most people can't stand the silent treatment sometimes. Saying nothing speaks loud. Exactly. It speaks very loud. And you say anyone who doesn't respect me and my boundaries, right? Exactly. That's who it's for. Exactly. That is who it is for. I agree with you totally on that. That is who it is for. That's who your silence is protecting. And let's see, we'll move on to our next one. I release the, okay, here we go. I release the need to be understood by. I release the need to be understood by. So let me know in the comments what you feel about that when I release the need to be understood by. I release the need to be understood by. And if you're catching this in the replay, feel free to put your answers in the chat as well. I'll definitely read them and respond. This is a two-way street, a two-way conversation. I would love to know your answers. I would love to know your answers. And if you're liking what we're talking about, feel free to subscribe to the page, to the channel, so that you won't miss any of this valuable information, so that we can all grow and heal together. Because everybody's going through something, or you done been through something, or you're going to go through something, because it's just life. You're going to go through something. And it comes to, life comes with a test you. But it says Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But God comes to heal and build and deploy you into a healthier, brighter life. And that just came to me. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Holy Spirit. But yeah, that's what we're here for. So, if you just believe, I know this one, is a Christmas thing. But if you believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, then you believe what I'm talking about. And I hope that it blesses you. Pray that it blesses you. So, but I release the need to be understood by people. I used to try to be understood by everyone, I was a big people pleaser, wanted everybody to like me, didn't want to ruffle any feathers, I'm not doing that anymore. I've gotten 90% better, 95% better, literally. And those who know me personally, they know. They know, they can attest to it. But yeah, I'm not proving anything to anybody else anymore. I'm not living my life to, for man's approval. Man or woman down here on earth, I'm not living my life for their approval. I'm living my life for the Lord's approval. I pray about it for whatever decision I make. I may not always make the right decisions. I'm human, right? But I pray about it, and I ask the Lord for discernment. I ask Him for, guidance as I walk this walk. I do. Right. You said you too. Right. You have to ask Him for guidance, because, excuse me, we're not all knowing. We're not all knowing, right? Our Father is, but we're not. So we're going to make some mistakes along the way. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not. And, for those of you that are not Christian yet, you have not given your life over to Christ, even once you do, you're still going to have some battles. You're still going to have some hurdles to cross over. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to go through some trials and some challenges. You're not going to always make the right decision, but you got to pray about that, ask for discernment and guidance, and listen, of course, Exactly. Amen. You got to listen, because You be hard-headed, you suffer them consequences. Let me tell you, you will suffer those consequences. I'm telling you. Yes, you will. But yeah, you don't have to be understood. You know, you don't. Because everybody is created uniquely in his image, right? So we're not going to always be understood by everyone. We are not. And I have another one for you guys. This one is, and y'all hear Comfort out there in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear him. He do not like going outside. I remember the day while I was outdoor dashing on a little farm I was telling you, mentioned in the beginning of the live, and they had like, yeah, 'cause I stayed in my car. I'm scared of other people's big dogs, but not mine, right? But and they had like a bunch of, I want to say it was, I know like I think two of them came up to my car, and I don't know what breed they were. They were, big size dogs, Two or three of them came up to my car. Of course, the gentleman came to the car to get his order. But they wasn't barking or nothing. They just were big dogs. And then I saw a couple in my rearview mirror over off to the side, like, yeah, but they're in a farm. They got fenced in. So, the dogs gonna just run around. But I also thought about something too. Comfort does not like the cold. And it's, I want to say it's like maybe 50 something degrees right now, 40 something. Yeah. It's not real cold. It is cold, but it's not real cold. I just let him out right before we started this live. He already out there barking. Hopefully he's barking at somebody. He might be because he's not whining right now, but he was. Yeah, he's actually just barking at somebody. Yeah, because it's 53 degrees. But typically, if it's cold, you want to tell him, hey, yeah. But when it's cold outside, yeah, he does not like being out there. He will bark and like, look, mommy, I want to go out. I want to go outside. And speaking of Comfort, you guys, if you want to subscribe to his channel, there it is. There his channel is. And I will also put it in the chat if anybody would like to subscribe to Comfort's channel. It's a family affair. We're growing this thing together. Okay, all right. So, yep, we are growing this thing together. And I'll put it in the chat. If anyone wants to subscribe to Comfort's channel, there he is. Feel free to click it. But yeah, like, no. But yeah, that's just, I had to put that in there about him though. But yeah, he does not like being out there. He's a spoiled baby. He's a big baby, but he's a spoiled baby. Yeah, you saying hi, Comfort too, you guys. That's right, you guys will subscribe to Comfort's channel too, so y'all can see all about Comfort and what he does. But this brings us to our next point. And our next point is choosing peace means, yeah, did we do that one? Choosing peace means I will no longer, I know I can get the run in my mouth, but choosing peace means I will no longer, yeah, we didn't do that one. Choosing peace means that I will no longer. So what do you guys, how you guys feel about that statement? And thank y'all so much for hanging out with me too. Choosing peace means I will no longer. What does that mean? What does that statement mean to you? Choosing peace means I will no longer. And let me know your answers. Choosing peace, I will no longer. And I'll say for me, choosing peace, I will no longer not choose me. I will no longer put myself second. Because when I put myself second, the peace is gone. Right? You no longer fear anything. That's a good one, Stephanie. Stephanie said she will never. Choosing peace means she will no longer fear anything. Amen. Because man can't put you in heaven or hell, right? That's only God. You will no longer, Echo says she will no longer give my peace away. My peace is important to me now. Exactly. Peace is worth more than diamonds and rubies. I'm telling you, it is worth so much more. And it took a while for me to understand that. Now I guess it took to the point where I didn't have an ounce of it left to that's where I realized how valuable it was when it was there was none. Right, Stephanie. Right there, when there was none, that's when I realized how valuable it was. Because when your life is in disarray, you're going through all kinds of things, and you don't have no peace. Like used to be my home would be my peace. At one point, I won't say all the time, but at one point, my home was my peace, my sanctuary. Especially when I, ended up being when I was after my divorce and I wasn't seeing anyone. No one was living in my home. Even the kids that moved out, and stuff. Like my son that moved with his dad for like the last couple of years of his high school, and it was just me. My daughter she had moved out with the grands. My other daughter had moved. It was just me. That was so much peace coming home to that. And you know what? Satan came and ruined it. Literally. Satan came and ruined. I know I allowed it, but Satan came and ruined it. I was peaceful. At this particular time. I wasn't really I wasn't really dating anybody. I had a few gentlemen callers or whatever as they say, but like I wasn't dating anybody. I wasn't serious in no relationship with nobody. I came home to my home every day, walked around my house making my food, just having peace, quiet. I want to watch TV, I would. If I didn't, I didn't. Sit on the phone, talk to my friends, girlfriends, or whatever. I had peace. And then on Christmas Eve, my peace was disrupted. On Christmas Eve, that's when it was disrupt. That was the beginning of the disruption. 'Cause literally, like I wanted to date, I wanted, find my person or whatever. But as the time was going on, like, yeah, I enjoy having them there. I'm gonna be honest. But there were times I was like, okay, I want to watch TV by myself. I want to lay in the bed by myself. I want to do this by myself. Literally. But I was like, okay, this is what you asked for. But no, my peace was disrupted. It's like, so when he did want to just go off, with doing whatever, okay, sure. All right, you're fine. You know, all right. I'm like, okay, I got my me time now. I can sit and talk on the phone with my friends and I can do this, he's gone off. So, right. Yes, exactly. Now, once we moved to, after he, got in his trouble or whatever, and we moved to Greenville, yeah, my piece was, yeah, that's like I said, the Christmas Eve, like I said, that's when it stepped in, but it was subtle. But yeah, my home in Greenville, I had no peace. Like literally, I took on a second job. Like I was in like the last few months of it, I would say. So it's like I left in November. I was working 12-hour shifts doing security. So I was working like at least 5 days. They didn't do the 3 day on, 4 day off thing like that or whatever what 12-hour shift does. So I would work sometimes 3, 4 days in a row, five even. But then I took on a second job. I was like, I gotta stack my money, so I can figure out how to get out of this situation. So I actually took on a second job working from home, but I was on a schedule. Training was 9 to 5, so security they worked with me with that schedule, and they allowed me to yeah, 'cause my training was 11 to 8. How did they do that? Because my training was 11 to 8 for like 4 weeks, I think. No, yeah, it was 11 to 8. Some kind of a security yeah, they let me work on the weekends. Yeah, because my training was 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. No, 11 to 8 Monday through Friday, and then the hospital they let me work on the weekends. So Saturdays and Sundays I work 12. I mean not 12, but 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So like I said, I was working 40 hours Monday through Friday, and then 12 and 12 at 24. Right, I was working all those hours. I literally was working every day because I didn't want to be at home anymore. I don't even know how I had the energy, but I know it was the adrenaline and just survival or whatever. And I worked all the time, and then yeah, I worked all through training. 'Cause I think I finished. Trying to remember if I finished training. Yeah, I finished training before I moved back home. So yeah, and then once I got my schedule, Like, yeah, because I didn't work Monday through Friday once I got out of training on the working from home job. I worked, some weekends, some weekdays. So the hospital, so whatever day I wasn't working at the work from home job, I was working the security job, and it wasn't, I won't say it was a high stress security job at Shriners, hospital. So we sat down most of the time, to be honest, and watched the cameras. And then we did our rounds. We had 3 floors. We did our rounds. Well, no, we were on the first floor. It's 2 floors, and then the garage area. So we had to watch, do those rounds every hour or so. But it was always like 2, 3 people, officers in the security officer. So, but I did it though. I still did that, and even some days I like it was on the weekend or something. I know one time I was off at the hospital, and I would text my manager like, "Look, you need some, y'all need some help. Like, I could come in, because he was home. He was off on the weekend, so because he worked night shift, 12-hour night shift too, but he was off on Saturdays and Sundays. His schedule stayed the same. So I definitely didn't want to be home on the weekends. So, and if y'all ever read that book, you'll see why. But I did not want to be home on the weekends. So I would go a lot of those weekends. I would go and work a half a shift or something, at the hospital, so I could come home. Right, I was in fight or flight mode. Exactly, that's what it was. I was in fight or flight mode. Like I was just going through the motions, just trying to survive. Just trying to survive. And the Lord helped me to do that. Hey, Bobby, thanks for coming in. Thank you so much for coming in. It's one of my Facebook buddies, one of my author friends. But yeah, I was in survival mode. I was literally working 2 jobs, all those hours just to avoid being home. Right. Keep me right, Stephanie. Keep me from home over my YouTube. Yeah, keep me from home. Exactly. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I was like, I do not want to be at home. Yeah, I needed the money too, but I did not want to be home. And I literally was basically working all the time and still going through hell once I got home. Once had to be home, I had to still sleep and whatever. But they couldn't give me all the extra hours, and I understood that. But yeah, I was like, I can't stay. I can't stay home. I can't sit here in this. No, I'm not. No, I can't do that. And so I just kept on and just kept going at it. And like I said, the Lord kept giving me strength and energy to keep going because, like I said, I know without a shadow of a doubt that God brought me through that. He brought me through that because I would have never gotten through that without Him. I would never have gotten through that without the Lord giving me strength. And this brings us to our next point. I trust myself even when. I trust myself even when. And feel free to put your in the chat, in the comment. Oh, you said your thing was sitting in the sea. Oh, I did that, Bobby. I would do that on some days. He literally timed me. I wondered if he even had a tracker on my car. Because, like, mind you, my job was like 15, 20 minutes from the house. But it's like he was sitting home just waiting to see what time I got off. He literally text me, "You done left yet?" Yeah, I'm like, dang, I'm saying bye to my coworkers, why I gotta rush out. But he literally timed me. So, like, if I came home and just sat out there in the car, oh, here he come acting a fool, yelling and screaming and hollering. I remember one time, this was towards the end. This was like, might have been September, October. And I remember, he was doing his little shenanigans or whatever. And he had, because I kept calling me, bothering me at work. So he was like, stop and give me a pack of cigarettes. I'm like, okay, fine. So I stopped on the way home and got him a pack of cigarettes. And I get to the house, y'all. Oh my God. I was so embarrassed. This man was in his boxers, standing out on the balcony, yelling and talking all crazy. And then one of my neighbors downstairs, so her, she was literally directly up under us. She came out on her patio and that's what I said. I told my friend, because I was on the phone with a couple of my girlfriends, because they wanted to make sure I got home safe and that he didn't do nothing crazy when I got in there. So they stayed on the phone, on FaceTime with me, no, Messenger with me. And He literally was arguing with this lady, just crazy, just yelling and talking all crazy. And mind you, he getting ready for work. Like he literally was crazy, was drunk and acting the fool all the time. You don't supposed to say certain words, but he literally was acting the fool all the time. But I swear that lady, she did not back down. She was just going toe to toe with him, back and forth. And she was an older lady too. She was going back and forth with him. But they all knew his behavior, and they saw more of what he did at home than I did because, like I said, I was working 12-hour shifts in the daytime. He worked at night, so they saw everything he did in the daytime. They knew more than I did. Because a lot of people was asking me like, why you with him? Even when I got ready to leave, the maintenance guy, I think I had to talk to him about the key or something, turning the key in or something. He was like, I'm sorry, but I was asking you like, why are you with him? I was like, I don't even know either. I'm like, literally, like I don't know why either. Why am I with him? But like I said, like I mentioned before, you got on here, Bobby. Christmas Eve was literally the fall. Like that was the beginning of the fall. And I mean literal falling down because that's when it all started. Like that's when Satan set in to destroy my life. Hold on, y'all. I'm in the middle of something right now. We'll go over there. The grandbaby child out of school for Christmas break. But literally, that was the fall. I literally, Christmas Eve, it came on subtle and everything just went down here from there. Right. Exactly. But you said emotional abuse is something. Right. Embarrassing. Right. Exactly. Exactly. It was so, I mean, I have so many countless memories, and I know it's been a few years now, but they're still etched up in here. Like I deal with them, but they'll never go away. They're still there. Your memory is gonna be there regardless, whether dealing with it, processing it, healing, whatever. It ain't gonna just erase from your mind. And if it erases from your mind, that means you blocked it out, and that means that's even more. That it did more damage. If you actually blocked it out, then it did more damage. So don't let nobody tell you, no, you supposed to forget about that. Right. Exactly. The Lord picked me up and say, thank you, Bobby. Thank you. But yeah, the Lord picked me up. And like I said, Bobby, that ain't even a marriage. And I remember the marriage was the emotional abuse. And I can laugh about it now, when talking about it. I used to tremble, but I don't tremble anymore when I talk about it. But yeah, I thank God for picking me up. Thank God for strengthening me, keeping me in my right mind, because during the rose wrapped in thorns, my mind was like, you see these locks, like my mind was just dangling, like literally my mind was just dangling. Like I didn't know how I was gonna make it from day to day mentally, because there were some days when I didn't want to be here. I mean, I didn't do anything. My strength, my faith, was still strong, but I was so close. I mean, I literally was like, I just didn't want to be here no more. Yeah, I could have packed up and ran home sooner, but who wants to do that? Just be honest. When you're in a situation, that's not the first thing that you want to do is just run home, you know. Right. It was time to go, and the apartment was in my name, but like, I was trying to fix it. I was trying to figure out yeah, exactly. You understand? I was trying to figure out a way that I could get me out of the situation. Like I was like, okay, he going to court. They gonna lock him up. He gonna have to go ahead and do his time. That'd be an easy way out. I won't have to worry about no whole bunch of more drama and everything. Go to court. He come back home with me. I was like, Lord, what is going on? Like I thought this was my minute. I thought this was, I thought this was gonna be the answer. That didn't work. And then yeah, that didn't work. And then after that I was like, okay, got to keep trying, keep figuring out, that didn't take him on, literally. I don't even know what that court here for was for. It was just a bunch of people in there. They called all their names, and it's like it was almost like it was a check-in. And I'm like, are y'all serious? But his lawyer kept telling me, he was probably gonna have to go ahead and get arrested, go ahead and finish his time out because he had been violating his parole or whatever. He had other charges and stuff, multiple domestic violence charges against other people. And so, but they didn't do nothing to him. We came back home, But I couldn't put him out because he was on the lease. For one, he was on the leg monitor, so he had to get permission to leave. I went because he had been staying there with me the whole time, even though he wasn't on the lease. I had to go to the courts to get paperwork to get him out, which was going to take another 15. No, I think it was going to be, I had to wait 15 days to notify him, I think. And then he was going to have 30 days to get out. But by that time, I had already set in motion to leave. And then you had to pay for that. And I had already set in motion to leave, just leave. So I would talk to my landlord and, because a friend of mine was like, Deborah, just tell them, what's really going on. And I did. And so they worked with me and just like gave me like a payment plan to finish out my lease. And they so I did that, and but they had to come and do an inspection, right? So of course they saw the hole in the walls. Yeah, it was a hole in the first bedroom where he had moved into, where he had busted in that door or whatever. And so a big hole in that door. The bathroom door in my bedroom was tore up where he had did all his stuff. And yeah, and so there was, they had to charge for all that stuff. But I told her what was going on. I couldn't put him out, the whole story. And she worked with me and just told me that, like I said, they set me up on a payment plan. And after a year, every month I just, paid my money or sent the money order in. And I got it done, but I came on home. I could have stayed and got moved into a 1 bedroom, but my mind was just so out of it. At that time, I was like, yeah, my parents like, just come on home. You don't need to be there. You don't need to be dealing with that. And so I just came on home. I came on home, and life has been more, went through my changes, of course, and emotions and all that stuff, but I'm still here. And the Lord, brought me through, and He's going to still keep bringing me through, right, Bobby? He's going to still keep bringing me through. But I'll go ahead and I won't hold you all too much longer. My next one is, although the last one rather is after, and I don't know, did you all put in anything about I trust myself even when, or did we? Yeah, we didn't even really answer that one. I trust myself even when things don't look right to me. I trust myself even when things don't look right to me, even when it looks like I'm making the wrong decision. Because yeah, honestly, my friends there, they were like, they were just leave, like just go to a shelter, just come over here to my, I didn't want to cause any extra trouble. I want to keep myself safe. Like even when I got ready to leave, because that morning he was acting so off, whatever. I called the authorities, the police, to help me to leave. Give me an escort to, just in case he did anything crazy. And of course he was like, "Oh, I wasn't gonna do nothing to you. I ain't stopping you from leaving or whatever." But I had to do it my way. So yeah, I trusted myself to do it my way to keep me safe. So you have to trust your judgment. You have to use discernment, trust your judgment, trust yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself, can't believe in yourself, then what, right? So, but here we go to our last point of the day, and this one is, let's see, this one is going to be, I am allowed to choose rest over. So, know your answers to that. I am allowed to choose rest over. And Sister Echo says, I trust myself more than I trust anyone. Right. You have to be. You have to. I used to be a very trusting person of other people. But as time went on, I've learned, I got to trust me first. Because nobody knows me better than me. Other than God, of course. But nobody down here on earth knows me better than I know myself. And I had to learn myself. I will say that. I had to truly learn myself, because living your life as a people pleaser, whether you were taught it intentionally or unintentionally, however, experience, life shapes you from childhood. There was a lot of people pleasing tendencies in there. They're going away. I will say that, but you have to choose to make them go away, right? You have to choose to make the other decisions and choose yourself and please yourself versus other people. But yeah, so then and that comes with trusting yourself. Trusting yourself. So our last one is I am allowed to choose rest over. I am allowed to choose rest over duties. For me, I can say I'm allowed to choose rest over duties. When I'm tired because I can't do anything for anybody else if I have no energy. And that can be mental energy, physical energy. We are allowed to choose rest for ourselves. You have to choose rest over it. Sometimes rest over everything, right? You gotta choose rest over everything sometimes. Because our body needs rest. Our body, Jesus rested on the seventh day, right? You gotta have your rest. When I'm tired, I take a nap. I used to didn't take a nap. I just get through the day and just wait till the nighttime when it's time to go to sleep. But now I take a nap. If I'm tired, I get some rest. Or if I don't feel like doing something, because I'm tired, not necessarily that I want to go to sleep, but if I'm tired, just don't have the energy, then I'll say, hey, just give me a minute. Just give me some time. It'll get done. Or like that saying, go find somebody else to do it, right? But if it's somebody else that can do it, yeah, get some delegate, get somebody else to do it. And I had to learn to do that. Like even with grandparent duties, I can always sometimes I'm not going to be able to help pick them up, so I have to delegate it to somebody else. Because what if I wasn't here anymore? I had to think of it like that. What if I wasn't even here anymore? Then who's going to do it? I won't be here to do it. You know, if I'm in the grave somewhere, I won't even be here to do it. So I had to learn to give it to somebody else to, delegate it. So yeah, you're allowed to choose rest over everything. And I'm gonna say it like that, over everything. You are allowed to choose rest over everything. You are allowed to choose rest over everything. You are allowed to choose rest over everything. Yes, you are. Let me know in the comments, you guys, or how you want to respond to that prompt. Okay, so Echo says, rest overdoing for others who are really just using. Yes, exactly. Rest overdoing for others who are really using you, right? And that's where that discernment comes in, right? Because people will use you. They have you running ragged, just doing some, providing their needs. And then when it comes times for you, when you need help, they're nowhere to be found, or they got to do this, they got to do that. They don't have time, They got this going on, they got that going on. So you have to pay attention to that stuff and use discernment on that. And yeah, because no, we're not doing that no more. We're not taking that into 2026. We're leaving that behind. Sister Stephanie says, amen. Exactly. We're leaving that behind. Yes, we are leaving that behind. We're leaving that behind. Well, everyone, whoever's still here with me, I know Sister Echo and Sister Stephanie and Sister Bobby's still on here. But thank y'all so much for hanging out with me, and whoever catches this in the replay, feel free to respond to the prompts and let me know your thoughts on it. You said, Sister Echo says, also just being busy, so I'm not thinking about things. Right, exactly. You're allowed to choose rest over that too. So you don't have to just keep, it's also just being busy. So I'm not thinking about things. Okay, I got you. Sometimes you still hear Bobby, okay, but sometimes, yeah, you just be busy. So you're not thinking about stuff. But yeah, you got to rest. Exactly. Just rest. And when you go to sleep, when you get that rest, you got to just, and it's not that easy, but you got to just literally turn your mind off and not think about all those things. Because I know sometimes I get there and my mind will be rushing. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate you coming in, sis. Like your mind will be just racing and you're not resting. You think you are because you laying there, you're not talking to nobody, you're not watching nothing. But your mind is just racing, just going, just thinking about all those thoughts. Or like I said, if you're in that toxic situation, your mind just thinking about all the stuff that happened already, all the things you think is gonna happen, because you don't know. Because people are unpredictable. So yeah, and that's not rest. That is not rest. You got to get your rest. But say this with me, you guys. Take a deep breath. I choose peace without apology. I release the need to explain my healing. Silence is my clarity, and my heart is safe. And I'll repeat that for you. I choose peace without apology. I release the need to explain my healing. Silence is my clarity, and my heart is safe. So if today's live has blessed you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs this. And if you want to support these moments, you can find the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. And I will see you all next week for another round of Coffee and Clarity. And also, I will be on my channel tonight. I've already shared it out. I will be on Kaleidoscope of Happiness with Living My Best Life in the chat. I'll show her one of her comments so you guys can see her. I will be on her channel, but I'll be on mine as well. We're streaming together, but it's going to be an amazing conversation. I'm excited about it. I really am. It'll be tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you all hop on over to YouTube at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, and we're going to have a good conversation. So y'all tune in, and I will see you all again, of course, next week for another round of Coffee and Clarity. And until then, guard your peace, protect your joy, and remember, you don't have to explain your journey to anyone but yourself. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. All right.